I'll never forget Karen's face when the FBI agents knocked on her door. She looked at me with pure terror and whispered, "How is this even possible?" But this story started 7 days earlier, when I got my first threatening letter from the Pinewood Heights HOA. My name is James Patterson. I'm 62, a retired Army colonel, and I just moved into Unit 217 at Pinewood Heights. After 30 years in the military, I wanted peace and quiet. Instead, I got Karen Mitchell. The letter came on day 3. Aggressive blue ink on HOA. Dear Mr. Patterson, your 2012 Ford F-150 violates our aesthetic standards. Section 7.3 requires vehicles newer than 5 years. Remove it within 72 hours or face $250 daily fines. My truck was spotless. It had served me through Germany, Iraq, and everywhere between. But Karen Mitchell, HOA president, had decided it wasn't good enough. Here's what Karen didn't know. I owned Pinewood Heights. Every single one of the 183 units. Back in 2014, I inherited money from my uncle and quietly bought the property through Riverside Holdings, LLC. I hired managers, set up the HOA, and stayed anonymous. I wanted to retire here as just another resident. Karen became president 3 years ago while I was in Afghanistan. I'd heard troubling reports about her leadership, but I was overseas. Now I was back, and she'd just made her first mistake. I spent 2 days talking to neighbors. The stories poured out. Mrs. Rodriguez got fined $500 for birthday balloons on her balcony for 6 hours. The Wilsons were denied a wheelchair ramp for Jennifer's mother because it would detract from aesthetic harmony. Marcus Thompson, a plumber, was fined $800 for parking his work van overnight. Karen had turned the HOA into her personal kingdom. Monthly fees jumped from $150 to $325 over 3 years. Nobody knew where the extra money went. Friday morning brought my second letter. Your vehicle remains in violation. Fines, $250 daily. Your balcony furniture violates color codes, $100. Your doormat exceeds size limits, $75. Total, $425, plus $250 daily. I called Marcus Rivera, my former military lawyer who now specialized in HOA law. He was one of 3 people who knew I owned Pinewood Heights. Marcus, pull every HOA financial record for the past 3 years. Every rule change, every fine, every expense Karen Mitchell approved. Jim, I've had 4 cases against her. She's got a reputation, aggressive, vindictive, and we suspect financial fraud, but records always disappeared. As property owner, I have rights to everything. Get 'em all. This is going to be fun, Marcus laughed. Give me 48 hours. Saturday came with a mandatory HOA meeting. Emergency session. Attendance required. Absence fine, $100. 80 residents packed into a space for 50. Tension filled the air. Karen stood at the front table. Blonde hair pulled back. Red glasses. Red blazer radiating authority. Sharp face. Sharper smile. "Let's begin," she announced, banging her gavel. "Excuse me." I stood. Question about procedure. Her eyes locked onto me. "Mr. Patterson, the illegal vehicle man. You're facing $1,675 in fines. Sit down and be quiet." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "It's only been 4 days." Someone whispered, "I just want to understand the legal basis for..." "I don't answer to rule violators." Karen's voice rose. She raised her hand dismissively. "You have 2 choices. Pay your fines, or we place a lien on your property. In fact, I motion we begin lien proceedings immediately. All in favor?" 3 board members' hands shot up instantly. Motion passes. Karen banged the gavel. "You'll receive notice by Monday. Now sit down or get removed." I sat slowly. Around me, defeat hung heavy. People slumped in chairs. This was their normal. But I noticed something. Susan Chun, the HOA secretary, hadn't voted. She sat, rigid, hands clenched white, on her notebook. After the meeting, I approached her as she gathered papers. "Ms. Chun," she looked up, startled and exhausted. "Mr. Patterson, I can't help you. Do you keep copies of all HOA financial records?" Fear and hope flashed across her face. "I keep everything. Karen doesn't know I have copies of the original HOA documents before she rewrote them. Every bank transfer, every expenditure, every fine, and where it really went. Why haven't you come forward? I'm 50. living alone in Unit 133. Karen threatened to fine me into bankruptcy if I ever question her. This is my home for 12 years. Where would I go? What if there was a way to stop her? Legally. Permanently. Susan stared at me. That sounds impossible, but I'm very tired of being afraid. Can you get me copies? Tomorrow. But Mr. Patterson, be careful. Karen destroys anyone who opposes her. I have connections too. That night, Marcus emailed, "You need to see this. Call me." I called immediately. Jim, Kara Mitchell, embezzled at least $475,000 over 3 years. My jaw tightened. Explain. That fee increase, the extra $175 per month per unit, none went to maintenance. She created fake vendors, fake invoices, fake landscaping services. The money went to her personal account. She's been siphoning thousands monthly. Can you prove it? Yes. Plus she took kickbacks from real vendors. $8,000 from the roofing company for a $50,000 job. $15,000 cash from parking lot resurfacing. So we're talking fraud, embezzlement, RICO violations. She's going to federal prison. How long for a complete report? I'll work all weekend. Monday, you'll have everything. Good! Contact the FBI White-Collar Crime Division. This is bigger than small claims. Already on it, my FBI contact is very interested. Sunday morning at 7, Susan knocked with 2 bankers' boxers. She looked like she hadn't slept. "Everything?" she said. "Every document, email, recorded conversation. Please make it count. Ms. Chun, by this time next week, Karen Mitchell won't be HOA president. How can you possibly trust me? And Susan, I'll need an honest person to help run this HOA properly." Interested, she stared, confused. "But you're just a resident. You have no authority." "That's what Karen thinks too," I smiled. Sunday and Marcus spent hours on video review. The picture was devastating. Karen stole $492,000. Accepted $96,000 in bribes, falsified records, used HOA funds for a $28,000 Hawaii vacation build as a property management conference. Worst of all, she deliberately targeted vulnerable residents with excessive fines, single mothers, elderly on fixed incomes, anyone who couldn't afford lawyers. She calculated exactly how much pressure each person could take before breaking. Systematic. Cruel. About to end. Monday morning, I emailed Karen. "I'd like to discuss my fines." Tuesday at 10 a.m. Her response was instant. "I don't negotiate with violators, pay or face legal action. Final warning," I replied. "I insist." Matters regarding Pinewood Heights. Tuesday 10 a.m. Community Center. "Come alone." An hour later. "Fine. 10 a.m. Don't waste my time. I'm bringing Leanne documentation. You're about to lose your home, Mr. Patterson." Marcus laughed at the thread. She has no idea. Tuesday morning, 9:45. Marcus waited with Special Agent Jennifer Walsh, FBI White-Collar Crime. "Colonel Patterson," Agent Walsh shook my hand. "I've reviewed the evidence. Multiple federal charges if it checks out." "It will, but I want to confront her first." "Why not just arrest her?" "Because for 3 years she made people feel powerless. I want them to see her lose. I want them to know bullies can be stopped." Agent Walsh nodded. "We'll wait outside. Don't let her destroy evidence. She won't have the chance." 10 a.m. exactly. Karen walked in alone, briefcase in hand, wearing smug confidence. "Mr. Patterson? Ready for your payment plan?" "Actually, I want to discuss yours." She frowned. "Excuse me." "Sit down, Karen." My tone made her hesitate. Uncertainty flickered. She sat, briefcase clicking on the table. "Say whatever you came to say?" I pulled out a folder and slid a bank statement across. "That's $32,000 transferred in March. From HOA to your personal account at Pacific Northwest Bank." Color drained from her face. "That's confidential." "How did you—" I laid down more pages. Bank transfers, fake invoices, kickback emails, Hawaii receipts. "Stop," she whispered. "Where did you get these?" "From every source needed, including the secretary who kept records of every crime you committed." Karen's shock turned to rage. She stood abruptly, chair scraping. "You think you can threaten me?" "I'm HOA president. I have lawyers. Connections. You're just some washed-up military nobody. I will destroy you." Her hand raised, pointing aggressively. "I'll sue for defamation. Have you thrown out. You're about to learn what happens when you cross me." "Sit down, Karen." "I will not. I run this HOA. You're finished. You're finished. Karen, there's something about Unit 217. About me. About Pinewood Heights. Do you know Riverside Holdings, LLC?" She froze. That name was on every lease. Riverside Holdings owns Pinewood Heights. All 183 units. Everything. And I own Riverside Holdings. I watched realization dawn. Her face went from red to pale. "No," she whispered. "Yes. I've owned this property since 2014. You've been president for 3 years, collecting fees, imposing fines, embezzling money, targeting my residents on my property." She collapsed back, briefcase tumbling, papers scattering. "This isn't possible. You're just a resident. You drive an old truck. You're nobody. I'm a retired colonel who wanted to live quietly. You made that impossible. Now we discuss what happens next." I opened the door. Agent Walsh walked in, badge visible. Marcus followed with another agent. Karen's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened silently. "Karen Michelle, I'm Special Agent Walsh, FBI. Questions about financial irregularities with Pinewood Heights, HOA. Come with us, please." Kara looked at me with genuine fear. "This can't be happening." "It is, right now. All those people you bullied, fines you imposed, fear you spread. Over. You're removed as president, and you're going to prison for a very long time." Agent Walsh stepped forward. "Easy way or hard way?" "Your choice." Karen stood mechanically. "How? How is this possible? You picked the wrong target. You thought I was powerless. Just another resident to bully. But I learned long ago, the most dangerous opponent is the one you underestimate." As Walsh let her out, Karen turned back. "This isn't over. Actually, it was over when you sent that first letter about my truck." Through the window, a crowd gathered. They'd seen FBI vehicles, Karen being let out. Mrs. Rodriguez, the Wilsons, Marcus Thompson, Susan Chun. I walked outside. The crowd parted. "What's happening?" Mrs. Rodriguez trembled. "Is Karen?" "Karen Mitchell is no longer president. FBI is investigating financial crimes. The excessive fines are void. Arbitrary rules cancelled. The HOA will now serve residents, not intimidate them. But who are you? How do you have authority?" "I'm James Patterson. I own Pinewood Heights. Since 2014, I came to retire quietly, be part of this community. What I found was unacceptable. So I'm fixing it." Absolute silence. Then Tom Wilson clapped. Mrs. Rodriguez joined. Soon, everyone applauded. Susan pushed through, tears streaming. "Thank you. Thank you. Without your documentation, this wouldn't work. You're now interim president with real salary from properly used HOA funds. Interested?" She nodded, speechless. Marcus grinned. "That went well. We're not done. Audit every fine. Refund what we can. Rebuild trust. This is just beginning." My phone buzzed. "Agent Walsh, preliminary confirms your numbers. 10+ years, federal minimum. Full investigation takes weeks, but no bail." "Well done, Colonel." Marcus whispered. 10 years minimum for HOA fraud. She really picked the wrong veteran. Yes, she really did. That night, reviewing documents in my condo, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello!" Heavy breathing. Then, a voice. "Karen's husband, Donald Mitchell. You think you've won? Think putting my wife in jail makes you a hero. You have no idea what you started. Karen has friends, powerful friends. They won't be happy. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You destroyed my family. Now I destroy you. Delaine died. I sat in darkness, phone on. Marcus warned Karen had connections. I assumed local politicians, business contacts. What if it was more? What if ending Karen's reign just opened something much bigger? What do you think Donald Mitchell will do next? Have you dealt with a corrupt HOA? Share your stories in the comments. Jim Patterson exposed Karen Mitchell's embezzlement. FBI arrested her. That night, her husband Donald threatened, "You destroyed my family. Now, I destroy you." I didn't sleep Wednesday night. Donald Mitchell's threat echoed in my mind. At 6 a.m., I called Marcus. How serious was that threat? Very serious. I researched Donald overnight. He's senior partner at Caldwell and Associates, one of the state's biggest law firms. Corporate connections, political ties, judges on speed dial, and Karen's brother is State Senator Richard Hayes. Different last name from her first marriage. Jim, if they team up, they have serious power. My jaw tightened. Let them try. The evidence is solid. They won't attack the case. They'll attack you personally. Property violations, tax audits, business license issues, legal warfare that costs time and money. I looked at Pinewood Heights through my window, residents walking freely, no longer afraid. I wouldn't let that change. Keep monitoring everything. That afternoon, I called a community meeting. 60 residents showed up. Atmosphere hopeful for the first time in years. Susan Chun stood beside me. "You have questions," I began. "About Karen. About what's next. I want transparency." Mrs. Rodriguez raised her hand. "You really owned this property for 10 years, since 2014. I bought it as retirement investment. Wanted to live here anonymously? Why not stop Karen sooner?" Tom Wilson asked. I was overseas on active duty. Couldn't act until I returned. "I'm sorry it took this long." Marcus Thompson stood. "What about our fines?" I paid $800. Susan and I are auditing every fine. Legitimate charges based on original rules stand. Everything else gets refunded. Applause filled the room. Monthly fees dropped to $150 next month. Karen's extra $175 was theft. That money goes to actual maintenance. Now more applaud. After the meeting, a woman in an expensive suit approached. "Mr. Patterson, Rebecca Chun, attorney from Caldwell and Associates, representing Donald Mitchell." My guard went up. "I have nothing to say without my lawyer. This is courtesy warning." She handed me a card. "Riverside Holdings operates multiple properties statewide, correct?" I said nothing. "Those properties face various regulations, building codes, safety inspections, environmental compliance. Unfortunate if agencies suddenly decided to audit everything. Is that a threat?" Information. My client discussed this with Senator Hayes. The senator sits on State Property and Development Committee, very interested in landlord misconduct. Karen embezzled $500,000. That's federal crime. Rebecca smiled coldly. FBI has evidence of HOA financial irregularities. But who owns that who set up the system allowing Karen to operate unchecked for 3 years? The absentee landlord who failed oversight responsibilities? Ice flooded my veins. They were flipping the narrative. I hired management companies to avoid responsibility. Wealthy landlord oversees collecting rent while residents suffered under corrupt system you created. Senator Hayes considers legislation about landlord accountability. Your situation makes excellent case study. She turned to leave. Drop civil claims against Mrs. Mitchell. Everything goes away quietly. Karen serves time. You run HOA properly. Nobody examines your other properties. Think about it. I called Marcus immediately. They made their move. I explained Rebecca's visit. "Playing dirty, but smart," Marcus said. "Can't save Karen, so they drag you down too. Make it costly enough. You'll wish you stayed quiet. Options, legally, you're clean. But they can create mess. Inspections, audits, media painting you as negligent landlord. You'll win, but it costs." "I'm not backing down." "Good. We go on offense. File civil suit for every stolen dollar plus damages. Make clear you're victim, not villain. And Jim, time to call your own connections." That evening, I called General Patricia Kendrick, retired Marine, now defense contractor with serious political reach. "Jim Patterson," her voice boomed. "About time you retired. Patricia, I need help." I explained everything. She listened silently. Then, Senator Richard Hayes. "I know him. Sat on procurement committee 2 years ago. Tried blocking my company's contract. He's dirty. Takes developer money. Pushes legislation for donors. Can you help?" "I'll make calls." Hayes won't want certain people examining his finances. Donald's firm represents clients who hate media attention. HOA. May, 24 hours. Thursday morning. Marcus called at 7. Karen's bail hearing is today. They're trying for house arrest? You said no bail. That was before Donald brought expensive lawyers, arguing she's not, flight risk, first-time offender, community ties, $500,000. I know, Agent Walsh is fighting it, but if they get her out, she can coordinate with Donald. I'm coming. Courthouse was downtown. I arrived 8:34 9 a.m. hearing. Marcus met me outside. Donald's here with 4 lawyers. This'll be a show. Inside, courtroom was surprisingly full. Pinewood Heights residents came to watch. Donald sat front row, staring ahead. Karen entered in orange jumpsuit, looking smaller without her red blazer. When her eyes found me, hatred burned pure. Judge Morrison took the bench. Stern woman, 60s, bail hearing for Karen Mitchell. Arguments. Her attorney, silver-haired, Philip Warren, stood. Your Honor, Mrs. Mitchell is respected community leader with no criminal history. These charges stem from accounting irregularities in volunteer HOA position, not violent, not flight risk. Request release on own recognizance. Accounting irregularities. Agent Walsh stood. Your Honor, defendant systematically embezzled $492,000 over 3 years, created fake vendors, falsified documents, targeted vulnerable residents, calculated fraud. Mrs. Mitchell has deep community ties, Warren countered. Prominent attorney husband, state senator brother. She's not going anywhere. Those connections make her a risk, Walsh argued. Husband already threatened witnesses, recorded threats. Judge looked up sharply, recorded threats. Donald Mitchell called Colonel Patterson Tuesday night, threatening retaliation. Attorney from his firm visited yesterday with extortion demands. Warren stood quickly. Your Honor, absurd. My colleague simply conversed. Your colleague threatened regulatory attacks unless civil claims dropped. Marcus Cadine, witness tampering minimum. Judge's expression hardened. Mr. Warren, is your client's family interfering with this case? Absolutely not. Mr. Mitchell is understandably upset. Being upset doesn't justify threatening witnesses. Judge reviewed notes. Given money involved, systematic fraud nature, and evidence of witness intimidation, bail denied. Mrs. Mitchell remains in custody pending trial. Karen went white. Donald stood abruptly. Outrageous. You can't, Mr. Mitchell, sit or face contempt, and reconsider interfering with witnesses. Won't end well for you or your wife. Gavel down. Karen led away, looking at Donald desperately. He stood frozen, fists clenched. Outside, Marcus grinned. That went well. Donald will escalate now. Let him. Patricia called this morning. She's already moving. What moves? Senator Hayes received interesting call from State Ethics Commission. Questions about campaign donations from developers. Nothing formal yet, just inquiries. Makes politicians nervous. I smiled. Patricia's fast. She also contacted journalists specializing in political corruption, very interested in senator using position to protect embezzling sister. We were walking to parking when I heard footsteps. Colonel Patterson, young man, 30s, out of breath, holding phone. Brian Foster, Channel 7 News. Questions about HOA embezzlement. Marcus stepped forward. No comment. Is it true you own Pinewood Heights? Expose the embezzlement. No comment, Marcus repeated. What about Senator Hayes, concerned about retaliation for prosecuting his sister? I stopped. How do you know about Senator Hayes? Brian smiled. Anonymous tip this morning, detailed information about Senator's connection to Mrs. Mitchell and interference attempts. Running story tonight. Patricia's work, media ahead of Donald's strategy. No comment about Senator Hayes, I said carefully. But I'll say this. Karen Mitchell committed serious crimes against Pinewood Heights residents. People who trusted her. She stole, threatened, made lives miserable. FBI has evidence. Justice will be served regardless of who her relatives are. Brian's phone recorded everything. Thank you. One more question. Donald Mitchell works at Caldwell and Associates. Have they contacted you? No comment, Marcus said, pulling me away. In parking garage, Marcus laughed. Jim, that's Evening news. You just publicly called out a state senator. He started it. I'm finishing it. That afternoon moved quickly. Senator Hayes' office denied connection. Channel 7 ran story anyway. Documents showing Karen and Richard were siblings. Phone records between Donald and Senator. My courthouse statement. By evening, 2 more outlets picked it up. State Senator's sister arrested for embezzlement, trending locally. Patricia called. At 6 p.m. You're making headlines. You're doing... My pleasure. Hayes is scrambling. Release statement saying no knowledge of sister's activities, fully supports law enforcement. Translation. Cutting her loose to save himself and Donald. Radio silence from Caldwell. But Jim, don't think it's over. Cornered animals are dangerous. At 8 p.m., I received email. No return. Address. Subject. Final warning. Message brief. You've made powerful enemies. Drop civil suit or face consequences. Last chance to walk away. I forwarded to Marcus and Agent Walsh. Marcus called minutes later. Another witness. Intimidation count. Walsh goes to judge tomorrow morning. Good. Jim. Sure. You want to keep pushing? They're desperate. They should be. Karen isn't the only one paying. Donald crossed the line. I'm filing harassment charges. I'll draw papers tonight. Friday morning brought unexpected news. Agent Walsh called at 7. Colonel Patterson. We arrested Donald Mitchell an hour ago. For what? Witness tampering. Obstruction. Conspiracy. That anonymous email. His firm's IT wasn't careful. We traced it, plus warrants for phone records found communication with Karen before arrest, discussing moving money and hiding documents. I sat hard. He was helping her. Evidence suggests he knew about embezzlement, possibly helped set up fake vendor accounts. His lawyer knows how to structure things avoiding detection. Both in on it, possibly bail hearing Monday, but Karen's lawyer pushing for deal now. Without Donald's support, without Hayes backing her, she's got nothing. Might flip on husband to reduce sentence. After hanging up, I looked at Pinewood Heights. 2 days ago, Karen arrested. Now, Donald in custody too. Dominoes falling fast. Phone rang. Susan Chun. Mr. Patterson, someone at community center asking for you. Says it's urgent. Who? Won't give name. Looks scared. I drove over immediately. Young woman waiting. Maybe 25. Tired eyes. Nervous hands. Mr. Patterson, I'm Emily Mitchell. Donald and Karen's daughter. I stared at her. Karen at her daughter. Didn't know they had children. Just me. Estranged 5 years. But I saw the news. Saw what my mother did. I need to tell you something about my father. She pulled thick folder from her bag. Hands shaking. This is everything. Bank records, emails, recordings. My father isn't just helping my mother. He's been running the operation from the beginning. The embezzlement. His idea. He set it up. Told her how to hide money, which accounts, how to avoid detection. My blood ran cold. Why tell me this? Because they destroyed lives for money. I cut them off when I found out what they are. And because there's more, this wasn't their only scheme. They've done this before. Other properties? Other HOA. You're not their first victim. You're just the first who fought back. I took the folder, feeling its weight. How many others? At least 3 more HOAs across 2 states. Same pattern. Karen becomes president. Donald provides legal cover. They steal for years, then move on. You stop them, but other victims don't even know they were robbed. Before I could respond, Emily's phone buzzed. She looked and went pale. Oh no. What? Message from my father's associate. They know I'm here. They know I took these files. She looked at me with fear. Mr. Patterson? I just made myself a target. Emily revealed Karen and Donald ran this scam in multiple states. How many communities did they destroy? Will Emily be safe? Comment your theory. Donald Mitchell was arrested for witness tampering and conspiracy. His daughter Emily appeared with shocking evidence. Karen and Donald ran the same embezzlement scheme at multiple HOAs across 2 states. Now, Emily's in danger. I looked at Emily Mitchell standing in the community center, pale and shaking. Her phone buzzed again. Don't answer that, I said quickly. Susan, lock the doors. Susan Chun moved immediately, securing all entrances. Emily stared at her phone. It's another text. From someone at my father's firm. They want the files back. They're threatening legal action against me. Emily, sit down. I guided her to a chair. Take a breath. You're safe here. Now, tell me everything from the beginning. She nodded, clutching the folder. Cut contact with my parents 5 years ago when I was 20. Found out what they were doing and couldn't be part of it anymore. What exactly did you find out? I was home from college for summer break. My father left his home office unlocked one night. I saw documents on his desk, bank statements, HOA records from a property in Nevada. The numbers didn't make sense, money moving from HOA accounts to personal accounts. I confronted him. She paused, eyes distant. He didn't deny it, just said I didn't understand how the world worked, that HOAs were easy targets because residents never pay attention, said they'd been doing it for years and nobody ever caught on. How many times? Before Pinewood Heights, 3 other properties, Lakeside Commons in Nevada, Riverside Park in Oregon, Mountain View Estates in Arizona. Same pattern every time. My mother becomes HOA president through fake charm and manipulation. Gains trust, rewrites rules, increases fees. My father sets up shell companies for fake vendors. They steal for 2 to 3 years. Then my mother resigns, citing health or family reasons. They move to a new state, new property, start over. My hands clenched. How much total from those 3 properties? At least $1.2 million over 6 years. Pinewood Heights was supposed to be their retirement score. Go big, take as much as possible, then disappear to Costa Rica. They bought property there 2 years ago. I pulled out my phone. I'm calling Agent Walsh. FBI needs to hear this directly. Agent Walsh answered immediately. Colonel Patterson. Agent Walsh, I'm here with Emily Mitchell, Donald and Karen's daughter. She has evidence of a multi-state embezzlement conspiracy. Can you get here fast? Pinewood Heights Community Center. Yes. 20 minutes. Don't let her leave. And Colonel, if she has evidence, she might be in actual danger. Those files could put a lot of people in prison. After hanging up, I turned to Emily. Why now? Why come forward after 5 years? Because you fought back. When I saw the news, saw my mother getting arrested, I realized someone finally stopped them. All those other communities, those people never knew. They paid higher fees, got fined unfairly, but never realized it was organized theft. You exposed it. I wanted to make sure they couldn't hide anymore. And the files you brought? She opened the folder. Bank records from all 4 properties. Emails between my parents, coordinating the schemes. Recordings I made 5 years ago when I confronted my father. He admitted everything on tape. Didn't know I was recording. Property records for the Costa Rica house. Flight reservations they made for next month. They were planning to run. I flipped through the documents. It was damning. Account numbers, transfer dates, amounts, fake invoices with obvious patterns, email chains discussing which residents to target with fines, how to intimidate people into silence. One email from Karen to Donald made my blood boil. The elderly woman in Unit 142 paid her fine. Threaten her with more if she complains again. These people are sheep. They'll do whatever we say. That was Mrs. Rodriguez. The grandmother fined for birthday balloons. Emily, this is federal evidence. Multiple counts of fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, possibly RICO charges. Your parents are going to prison for decades. Good, she said simply. They deserve it. But you understand, you'll have to testify against your own parents. Her eyes hardened. They stopped being my parents when I found out they'd been destroying innocent people's lives for money, for houses and cars and fancy vacations while single mothers couldn't afford their fines. I'll testify. Agent Walsh arrived 17 minutes later with 2 other agents. She took one look at Emily and immediately went into protective mode. Miss Michelle, I'm Special Agent Jennifer Walsh. You're doing the right thing coming forward. But I need to be honest with you. If these files contain what Colonel Patterson says, you're a key witness in a major federal case. That makes you vulnerable. Vulnerable how? Emily asked nervously. Your father's law firm has resources. They might try to discredit you, intimidate you, Or worse, we need to consider witness protection protocols. Emily went pale. You mean I'd have to leave? Change my identity? Possibly. Let's see what you have first. For the next hour, Agent Walsh and her team went through every document. Their expressions grew grimmer with each page. Finally, Agent Walsh looked up. Miss Michel. This is extraordinary. You've handed us a complete roadmap of a 6-year criminal conspiracy spanning 4 states. With this evidence, we can bring charges not just against your parents, but potentially against others at your father's firm who helped structure these schemes. Others? I asked. These shell companies, fake vendor accounts, they required legal expertise to set up properly. Donald Mitchell didn't do this alone. He had help from his firm. We're talking about a law firm potentially facilitating organized fraud. Emily nodded. I always suspected others knew. My father had associates who helped with paperwork, setting up LLCs, filing documents. He'd mention names sometimes. Robert Chun, Michelle Zhao, David Park, junior partners at Caldwell and Associates. Agent Walsh wrote down the names. This just got bigger. Colonel Patterson, the case you started by exposing Karen Mitchell. It's now a multi-state federal investigation into organized fraud and legal malpractice. My phone rang on Marcus Rivera. Jim, turn on Channel 7, right now. Susan found a TV remote. Channel 7 News was on. The anchor spoke urgently. Breaking news in the Pinewood Heights HOA embezzlement case. Sources tell us FBI agents raided the offices of Caldwell and Associates law firm this afternoon, seizing computers and documents. The firm represents Donald Mitchell, husband of arrested HOA, President Karen Mitchell. No official statement yet, but sources suggest the investigation has expanded significantly. Agent Walsh's phone rang. She stepped away, listened, then came back smiling. That was my director. We executed warrants an hour ago based on preliminary information. Your daughter's evidence confirmed we were right to move fast. We've seized everything. Emily looked shocked. You raided my father's firm. We had probable cause based on the witness intimidation and evidence of conspiracy. Your files gave us probable cause to expand. Miss Michelle, you just helped us take down potentially one of the largest HOA fraud operations in state history. Over the next 2 hours, more developments came rapidly. Marcus called back. Jim, 3 junior partners at Caldwell, just lawyered up. They know the walls are closing in. Patricia Kendrick called. Senator Hayes just resigned. Said he's stepping down for personal reasons. Translation: he knows we have enough to destroy him, and he's trying to avoid criminal charges by going quietly. Channel 7 ran updates every 20 minutes. Other news outlets picked up the story. By evening, it was national news. Multi-state HOA fraud conspiracy exposed ran on cable networks. Emily sat quietly through it all, processing. Finally, she asked, what happens to the people they stole from? The other communities? Agent Walsh answered. We'll contact victims at all 4 properties. With your evidence, we can trace exactly how much was stolen from each HOA. The government will work to recover assets and return money to victims. How long until trial? I asked. Months. Maybe a year. But with this evidence, they're all going to plead. Karen and Donald are looking at 10 to 15 years minimum. The lawyers at Caldwell who helped them could get 5 to 10. Senator Hayes might avoid prison if he cooperates, but his political career is over. Emily's phone buzzed again. She looked at it and froze. What is it? I asked. Email from my mother. From jail. Don't open it, Agent Walsh said sharply. Too late. I already did. Emily showed us her screen. The email was short. Emily, I know what you did. I know you took the files. I know you went to him. You'll betrayed your own family. You're dead to me. But before this is over, you'll regret destroying us. Your father has friends you don't know about. Powerful friends. They won't forget. Agent Walsh took the phone. That's another charge. Witnessed intimidation from custody. She's done. But what does she mean? Emily asked, voice shaking. Friends we don't know about. Nobody had an answer. That night, Agent Walsh arranged for Emily to stay in a secure hotel under federal protection. I returned to my condo exhausted but wired. Susan Chun called at 10 p.m. Mr. Patterson, you should know. Word spreading through Pinewood Heights about everything that happened today. People are talking about Emily, about the other HOAs. about Caldwell and Associates getting raided. The residents want to do something to thank you. They don't need to thank me. They want to. We're organizing a community gathering tomorrow. Nothing formal. Just neighbors wanting to acknowledge what you did. Susan, I just exposed criminals. That's basic decency, not heroism. To you, maybe. To us, you're the person who finally stopped 3 years of hell. Lets people say thank you. Saturday morning arrived, cold and clear. I got to the community center at 10 a.m. The parking lot was packed. Inside, nearly 150 residents filled every available space. Someone had hung a banner. "Thank you, Colonel Patterson." Mrs. Rodriguez approached me first. Tears in her eyes. My granddaughter's next birthday is in 2 weeks. I'm putting up every balloon I want, and I'm not afraid anymore. Tom Wilson shook my hand. Jennifer's mother is coming to visit next month. We're installing that wheelchair ramp. Nobody can stop us now. Marcus Thompson grinned. Parked my work van out front last night. Didn't even worry about fines. One by one, residents shared stories. 3 years of fear, frustration, anger, now releasing into relief and hope. Susan Chun stood at the front. I want to say something officially. As interim HOA president, I'm proposing new bylaws. Complete financial transparency. All records available to residents anytime. No rule changes without community vote. Annual independent audits. And term limits for board members. No more dictators. Applause thundered through the room. And, Susan continued, I move that we rename the community center the James Patterson Community Center, in honor of the man who saved our community. More applaudisse. I raised my hands. Please don't. I don't need buildings named after me. But if you want to honor something, honor honesty, honor transparency, honor standing up when you see wrong. That's what matters. My phone buzzed. Text from Agent Walsh. Call me immediately. New development. I stepped outside and called, Colonel, we have a problem. Karen Mitchell was attacked in jail last night. My stomach dropped. Attacked? Another inmate. Karen's in hospital with broken ribs and concussion. She survived. But Colonel, this wasn't random. The attacker was paid. Someone on the outside wanted Karen silenced or scared. Donald's in separate facility. No communication possible. This is someone else. Remember that email Karen sent Emily about friends we don't know about? I think she was telling the truth. There's another player in this we haven't identified yet. Who? We're investigating. But Colonel, if they got to Karen in federal custody, they might target others. Emily's protection detail is being increased, and I suggest you be very careful too. After hanging up, I stood in the parking lot processing. Karen attacked. Someone willing to reach into federal jail to send a message. I walked back inside where residents were celebrating their freedom. They had no idea the danger wasn't over. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Text message. You think you won? You exposed Karen and Donald. Took down Caldwell and Associates. Made yourself a hero. But you have no idea how deep this goes. The people you hurt don't forgive. Watch your back, Colonel. This isn't over. I stared at the message, ice flooding my veins. Someone bigger was behind this. Someone powerful enough to attack Karen in federal custody. Someone I hadn't identified yet. I looked through the window at the celebrating residents. Happy, relieved, thinking their nightmare was over. But it wasn't over. It was just beginning. And whoever sent this message, they were coming for me next. Who attacked Karen in jail? Who's the mysterious player behind everything? Is Jim in real danger? Drop your theories in the comments. Emily's evidence exposed a multi-state conspiracy. FBI raided Caldwell and Associates. Senator Hayes resigned. Karen was attacked in jail. Jim received a threatening text. You have no idea how deep this goes. This isn't over. I stared at the threatening text message, ice in my veins. Someone bigger was behind everything. I forwarded the message to Agent Walsh immediately and called Marcus. Marcus, we have a problem. Someone just threatened me. Same someone who got to Karen in jail. Jim, get somewhere secure. Now, I'm at Pinewood Heights Community Center with 150 residents celebrating. I can't just leave. Then I'm coming there. Don't go anywhere alone. I walked back inside. The celebration continued. Residents laughing, talking freely. Susan Chun caught my expression. "Mr. Patterson, what's wrong?" "Nothing. Everything's fine." I forced a smile. "No need to scare everyone." Agent Walsh called minutes later. "Colonel, I traced that text. Burner phone. Untraceable. But the timing is interesting. It came 17 minutes after Karen was attacked. Whoever did this wanted you to know they could reach anyone. What do? Stay in public spaces. Don't go home alone tonight. I'm assigning protection detail. And Colonel, I'm bringing Emily in for more questioning. She might know more than she realizes about her parents' connections." The celebration wound down by noon. Residents thanked me repeatedly as they left. Mrs. Rodriguez hugged me. Tom Wilson shook my hand firmly. Marcus Thompson said, "You gave us our home back." By 1 p.m., only Susan Chun and I remained. Marcus Severa arrived with 2 men I recognized from his firm. "Security detail," Marcus explained. "Until we know who's threatening you, you don't go anywhere without protection. This is excessive. Karen got attacked in federal custody. This isn't excessive, it's necessary." Agent Walsh arrived at 2 p.m. with Emily. Emily looked exhausted and frightened. "Miss Michelle, I need you to think carefully," Agent Walsh began. "Your mother mentioned powerful friends. Did your father ever talk about clients beyond the HOA schemes? People with serious money or influence?" Emily thought hard. "There was someone. I never met him, but my father took calls from him late at night, always went to his office. Closed the door. I heard a name once. Victor. My father seemed nervous when talking to him." "Victor what?" "Never heard a last name, but I remember my father saying something like, 'Victor wants his cut.' This was about 6 months ago." Agent Walsh's expression sharpened. "His cut, like a percentage." "I think so." My father sounded stressed, said something about Victor taking 30% being too much, but that he didn't have a choice. I leaned forward. "Are you saying Karen and Donald had a partner? Someone taking a cut of the embezzled money? Not just a partner," Agent Walsh said slowly. "A boss. Someone they answered to." "Emily, did your father ever mention how he met Victor?" "No. But there were wire transfers. I saw them in the files I gave you. Monthly transfers from one of the shell accounts to an offshore account. I didn't know what they were for." Agent Walsh pulled out her laptop and opened the files. "Show me." Emily pointed to a spreadsheet. "There. Every month, 30% of whatever they stole that month went to this account in the Cayman Islands." Agent Walsh made rapid calls. Within minutes, 3 more agents arrived. They huddled around the laptop, tracing transactions. One agent, a young woman named Torres, looked up. "Agent Walsh, these transfers match a pattern we've been investigating for 2 years. We have 15 other cases across 5 states. HOA. Fraud. Exactly like this. Different people running the schemes, but all sending 30% to the same offshore account." The room went silent. "You're telling me," Primera Saeed slowly, "that Karen and Donald were part of a nationwide criminal network?" "Not just nationwide," Torres said. "We've identified 23 separate HOA fraud operations over 5 years. Total stolen amount exceeds $8 million. All sending money to this one account. We've been trying to identify the person behind it for 18 months. Agent Walsh stood. "Emily, think harder. Anything else about Victor?" "Accent. Physical description. Location. I never saw him. But the accent? Yes. My father had him on speakerphone once when I walked by. Eastern European, maybe? Russian or Ukrainian?" Agent Walsh and Torres exchanged looks. Torres made a call, spoke rapidly in low tones, then hung up. "We have a lead," Torres announced. "Victor Russian national, U.S. resident, since 2010, has a real estate development company based in Seattle. Investigated twice for fraud. Nothing stuck. If tis is him, we finally have the connection we need." "How do we confirm it's him?" I asked. "We get Donald Mitchell to talk." Agent Walsh said, "He's facing federal charges already. If we offer a deal, reduced sentence for cooperation, he might give up Victor." Marcus shook his head. "Donald won't flip easily. He's a lawyer. Knows how the system works. Plus, if Victor is as dangerous as this sounds, Donald might be more scared of him than of prison." "Then we need leverage," I said. "Something that makes talking the better option." Agent Walsh smiled coldly. We already have leverage. Karen, if we tell Donald that Karen's willing to testify against him to reduce her sentence, he'll panic. Husband and wife turning on each other is classic prisoner's dilemma. Is Karen willing to testify? Susan asked. She will be after we explain that Victor tried to have her killed in jail. That changes everything. She thought Victor was her partner. Now she knows he's her enemy. Things moved rapidly after that. Agent Walsh and her team left to confront Donald in custody. Marcus insisted I stay at a hotel rather than my condo. Emily was placed in full witness protection. That evening at the hotel, Marcus and I watched the news. Channel 7 had breaking updates. Sources tell us the FBI is investigating a nationwide HOA fraud conspiracy. At least 20 criminal operations across 5 states, all connected to one mysterious figure. The investigation started with the Pinewood Heights case, but has now expanded into one of the largest fraud cases in federal history. My phone rang. Agent Walsh, Colonel, we broke Donald Mitchell. He gave up everything. Victor Kuzlov recruited him 7 years ago. Kuzlov runs a network of lawyers, accountants, and operatives who identify vulnerable HOAs, install people as board members, then systematically steal. Donald and Karen were just one team. There are at least 15 others still operating. What happens now? Simultaneous raids tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We're hitting all known addresses for Kuzlov and his network. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Phoenix, Denver. This is massive. Jim, you've started something that's going to take down a criminal empire. That night, I barely slept. At 5 a.m., I was watching news coverage. At 6 a.m. exactly, reports started flooding in. FBI raids in progress, across 5 western states, multiple locations. No official statement yet. Agent Walsh called at 7. We got him. Victor Kuzlov, arrested at his Seattle penthouse, plus 12 associates, including 5 lawyers and 3 accountants. We seized $8 million in assets, froze offshore accounts, and recovered documents proving everything. What about the other HOAs? The other victims? Every victim will be contacted. We're working with prosecutors in 5 states to file charges and recover stolen money. Colonel, because you exposed Karen and Donald, we were able to trace everything back to without your actions, he'd still be operating. Later that morning, Agent Walsh held a press conference. I watched from the hotel with Marcus. Today, the FBI announces the arrest of Victor Kuzlov and 12 associates in connection with a nationwide fraud conspiracy. Over 5 years, this criminal network stole more than $8 million from homeowners associations across multiple states. The investigation began when Colonel James Patterson, a retired Army veteran and property owner, exposed embezzlement at Pinewood Heights HOA. His courage in coming forward led us to uncover this entire operation. Today, justice is being served. Marcus grinned. You're a national hero now. I just wanted my neighbors to be safe. And in doing that, you save thousands of other people you'll never meet. Over the following weeks, the story continued unfolding. Karen Mitchell pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges, agreed to testify against everyone, received 12 years. Donald Mitchell got 15 years. Senator Hayes was charged with obstruction, got 3 years probation. Victor Kuzlov went to trial. Emily testified. Donald testified. Karen testified. The evidence was overwhelming. Kuzlov was convicted on 47 counts of fraud, conspiracy, racketeering, and money laundering. He received 35 years in federal prison. The 12 associates all pleaded guilty. Various sentences from 3 to 20 years. Caldwell, an associates law firm, dissolved. Partners not involved in the conspiracy started a new firm with clean reputation. Most importantly, victims got their money back. FBI recovered $7.2 million from seized accounts. It took months, but every HOA that was defrauded received restitution. At Pinewood Heights, life transformed. Susan Chun was elected official HOA president with 98% of the vote. The new bylaws passed unanimously. Monthly fees stayed at $150. All fines imposed by Karen were refunded. Mrs. Rodriguez's granddaughter had her birthday party with dozens of balloons. No one complained. The Wilsons installed a wheelchair ramp. Jennifer's mother visited every month. Marcus Thompson parked his work van prominently, started a community business referral program. 3 months after Victor's conviction, Pinewood Heights held a community barbecue. 200 residents attended. Children played in the common areas. Adults talked and laughed freely. The atmosphere was completely different from the fear-filled community I'd moved into 6 months ago. Susan approached me as I was grilling burgers. "Mr. Patterson, I have something for you." She handed me a framed photograph. It showed the Pinewood Heights Community Center with residents gathered outside at Tibbleton. An engraved plate read, "In gratitude to Colonel James Patterson, who taught us that one person standing up can change everything. Pinewood Heights Community. May 2024. I felt my throat tighten. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, we did. You gave us our home back. You gave us our freedom back. That deserves recognition." Emily Mitchell visited the next week. She looked different, healthier, more at peace. "Colonel Patterson, I wanted to thank you personally. Because of your courage, I found mine. I'm starting college again. Psychology degree. I want to help people recover from trauma caused by people like my parents. Emily, you saved thousands of people by coming forward with that evidence. You're the hero in this story." "We both are. You fought back when everyone else was too scared. You showed me it was possible." 6 months later, I was sitting on my balcony with my legally oversized doormat and non-regulation balcony furniture, watching the sunset over Pinewood Heights. My 2012 Ford F-150 sat in its parking space, clean and proud. Marcus Rivera called. "Jim, you're watching the news?" "No. Why?" "Turn on Channel 7. I found the remote. Channel 7 was running a special report. 6 months after Victor Kuzlov's arrest, the FBI reports that HOA fraud nationwide has dropped 60%. The Kuzlov case sent shockwaves through criminal networks. Additionally, 15 states have passed new legislation requiring HOA financial transparency and independent audits. These laws, nicknamed Patterson laws, after the veteran who exposed the original fraud, are protecting millions of homeowners. I sat back, absorbing that. Patterson laws. Legislation protecting people I'd never meet, in communities I'd never visit. My phone buzzed. Text from Agent Walsh. "Congratulations, Colonel. You changed the system. That's real victory." Another text, this one from Mrs. Rodriguez. "My granddaughter asked me to tell you she's learning about heroes in school. She said, 'You're a real-life hero. Thank you for everything.'" I looked out at Pinewood Heights as lights came on in units. Families having dinner. People living without fear. A community that was healthy and whole again. Karen Mitchell had thought I was nobody, just another resident to bully and intimidate. She'd made the fatal mistake of underestimating the wrong person. I'd spent 30 years in the army fighting for freedom and justice. When Karen tried to take that away from my neighbors, she'd picked a fight with someone who'd spent a lifetime learning how to win. The lesson was simple. Bullies rely on silence and fear. The moment someone stands up and refuses to be silent, their power crumbles. I'd stood up. Others had joined me. Together, we'd torn down not just Karen's little kingdom, but an entire criminal empire. And now, 6 months later, Pinewood Heights was exactly what I'd hoped for when I bought it 10 years ago. A peaceful community where people could live their lives in safety and dignity. My phone rang one more time. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Colonel Patterson?" A woman's voice, professional. "Yes, I'm calling from the Association of Homeowners Advocacy. We're a national organization fighting HOA abuse. We'd like to invite you to speak at our annual conference. Share your story. Teach other communities how to fight back against corruption." I smiled. When and where? Maybe my retirement wouldn't be so quiet after all. But if I could help other people escape the kind of tyranny Karen had imposed, it would be worth it. Because the real victory wasn't just winning one battle. It was inspiring others to fight their own battles. To stand up, to refuse, to be victims. Karen Mitchell had thought she was untouchable. She'd learned otherwise. And now, thanks to Patterson laws and renewed attention on HOA accountability, thousands of other would-be Karens were learning the same lesson. Justice had been served, and it tasted like victory. 1 year later, I stood at a podium in Washington, D.C., addressing a congressional committee on HOA reform legislation. Behind me sat Mrs. Rodriguez, Tom Wilson, Marcus Thompson, and Susan Chun, representatives from the 23 defrauded communities. Emily Mitchell, now a psychology student helping fraud victims recover. Karen Mitchell was in federal prison, serving year 3 of 12. Donald Mitchell was in a different facility, year 2 of 15. Victor Kuzlov would die in prison. But more importantly, $8 million had been returned to victims. 15 states had passed new laws. Hundreds of communities were safer. And in Pinewood Heights, my 2012 Ford F-150 sat proudly in its parking space, right where it belonged. The end. Karen thought Jim was nobody. She learned the hardest way possible: never underestimate a veteran who knows how to fight. Justice prevailed. The little guy won, and an entire criminal empire fell because one person refused to stay silent. What did you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments.